Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you love our content, show your support by booking your next vacation with Dreams Unlimited Travel. You can visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I am your host, Rhino Clavin, and in this week's episode, we're going to be doing another tournament bracket challenge. This time, we're going to Disney's Hollywood Studios to find out what the best attraction is over there. And to help me figure this out, we've got Denny Sunderly.
Hi there.
Corey Martin.
I'm just happy to be here.
Craig Williams.
Ahoy, ahoy.
And that's it. So that is an even number of people. So this time around, Craig suggested that we have our Patreon supporters be the fifth vote. So if you are watching this and you are a Patreon supporter and you've seen the polls that have been being posted about all the attractions at Hollywood Studios, this is how we're using your vote to decide if we come anywhere where there's going to be a tie or some close call or anything like that. So we've got that. We're ready to go. We're just going to get started. I'm going to go alien swirling sauces. Wow, already incorrect. Just got to love that sauce bar over there. You've got alien swirling saucers versus Tower of Terror. Also, I want to say I randomly put this in, so I did not choose what goes up against what. Corey Martin, which one of these two attractions deserves to move on to the next round?
Without a doubt, Tower of Terror for me.
Okay. Denny, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with what Corey said. It's got to be Tower of Terror, while Alien Swirling Saucers is super, super cute and is something that the entire family pretty much is going to enjoy. There is no more iconic. Well, I don't want to go too far here, but it is incredibly iconic, the Hollywood Tower Hotel is. And so, it gets my vote in this round.
And Craig, I'm curious because I know you've got a love for alien swirling saucers.
Oh, you know I love alien swirling saucers, but I have also said many times on all the different shows that we do that, Tower of Terror is one of the attractions that embodies everything that Walt Disney Imagineering does perfectly. Maybe it's an argument now that something like Rise of the Resistance or even Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway would take the cake on that now. But before those attractions, Tower of Terror had everything. It had a detailed story. It had perfect music through atmosphere. It had a thrill aspect to it that I never found overly thrilling. When I was a little kid, I did, but as I got older, I grew out of the fear of dropping and stuff. But and then just
so we can just drop you from the top of a building someday.
Yeah, I plan on jumping out my window right after we're finished with this, anyways.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it just every element that makes up Tower of Terror is still perfect to this day. I don't know if it's the greatest attraction at Hollywood Studios anymore, but it's a feat. Whereas Alien Swirling Saucers, it's got that fun aspect. You can't help but smile on it, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Now, I have not done the Guardians of the Galaxy in California.
Yeah.
So the two of those compared, the one Tower of Terror here and that one there, which one out of those two?
For me, it's Guardians, hands down for me for that one. Yeah, because I've had this. I don't know who I've talked to about this before, but I've definitely talked about it on the show before. Where there the theming is like it's fun, and Tower of Terror is like it's supposed to be scary, and like Guardians, it's a very different experience for attractions that used to be pretty much the same exact attraction. But for me, it's just I love that giddy fun feeling that is Guardians. So I don't know.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah,
for years.
Well, I also my vote is also going to Tower of Terror. Whether I've said that the drop on Tower of Terror actually bothers me because I think it's moving less quickly than Guardians, and so it's like my brain is so fixated on the Guardians one now that it makes me a little nauseous. Like sometimes now that just the Tower one, not the Guardians one for some reason, but. But I love that Twilight Zone theming, and it's just this perfect execution. And if ever they want to get rid of the ride, I say just put a couple condos in there, sell them off. It's and I have to say this is unanimous because this is also Patreon's vote went to Tower of Terror. So that is 5 for Tower of Terror. We are on a roll here. Next up, we're going to have Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy versus Star Wars Launch Bay. Denny, What do you say?
Okay. So I love all of the meet and greet opportunities that you have in Launch Bay. I like the chance. I am someone, as a huge Star Wars fan, I stop and take time to look at all the models that they've got going on in there, read all the descriptions. I love that element of it. But Racing Academy is just, it's one of those lighthearted, fun things, and the level of animatronic, and I know there's the argument out there that, man, we've got such a great animatronic, but that's all it is. Like, I get that, but we get that really great animatronic. So I'm going to have to give the edge to Racing Academy. It's just lighthearted fun for the family. So
What do you think, Corey?
I cannot vote for Racing Academy because I've never done it. Unfortunately, I know, crazy, right? That's the only one on this list that I have not done.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
so it's by default I have to go to Launch Bay.
Okay. Craig, what do you think?
Oh, it has to be Racing Academy. Launch Bay is, at this point, just wasted space. And I get the meet and greets inside, but, with this list, we're not really counting meet and greets in terms of attractions otherwise we'd have Olaf and Mickey and Minnie and all of them in there. So if we're taking this based on what Launch Bay is, and that's a movie and some interactive props and stuff to look at Star Wars, like literally they could bring back Push, and I would vote for Push over Launch Bay, the talking trash can.
Maybe I should have flipped a coin on that one.
So that's just me, but I also love Lightning McQueen, and I like Cars. I like Cars 1 and Cars 3. I do not care for Cars 2. So I also, just out of the nostalgic factor for my love for Cars, I have to go for that.
Well, I also I should have said at the beginning that I did the Walt Disney World website lists kind of everything a little weird, a little like not how I think of stuff. So there were 14 attractions listed, and then there was entertainment listed. And so some stuff came up under entertainment, some stuff came up, but like Indiana Jones Stunt Show, I feel like is not the same as a projection show. So we left out Fantasmic and projection shows and character meet and greets. So strictly like sort of actual experiences that you're supposed to go in during the day, I guess. So this actually, my thing with both of these attractions is that they both feel they were shoehorned in somewhere because, Launch Bay used to be the Animation Academy, and, that had the experience when you could draw and you saw the presentation about Mulan, and then...
Right, it was interactive.
Yeah, it felt way more interactive.
They need something like that again.
Oh, 100%, yeah. So, and I feel like Lightning McQueen, even though I hate that it's in that warehouse in the Racing Academy, that you should just be this like shopping mall. Denny's right. It does have that animatronic, and it has the screens, and so it has a little bit more of that interactive element over there. So for me,
true.
I'm gonna give it that. And the Patreon people said the same. They said. Oh, actually, wait a minute. Wait a minute. They voted for Launch Bay. I'm sorry. What? I was wrong. I misread my thing. They voted for Launch Bay. So that's a 3-2 to Launch Bay. So Lightning McQueen takes it, though.
Okay.
I wasn't the loner.
No. They heard you, Corey. Okay, so next up we have we are going to have this one's I don't think it's going to be super tough, but we have Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway versus Voyage of the Little Mermaid. Craig Williams, give us your opinion here.
Voyage of the Little Mermaid is a classic show, but it shows its age, very, very much so. And I would put it up against most of the other shows at Hollywood Studios. Specifically, I would probably vote for that over Beauty and the Beast or Indiana Jones Adventure, pretty much everything but Muppet Vision. However, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is an Imagineering feat. It is fun. It brings Mickey into that park in a better way than ever. It gets my vote easily.
Okay. Corey Martin, what do you think?
Oh, definitely Runaway. For sure. It's something you can do over and over again. Once you see the show, like The Little Mermaid, which is great. I mean, it depends on who's singing. Sometimes you get a really great Ariel. Sometimes not so much. But anyway, definitely Runaway.
Denny, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree. Voyage is really neat. It's classic, and I appreciate the use of dry ice and lasers. That's
Yes, the
pretty
lasers.
cool. The lasers, fantastic. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway is it's groundbreaking. It's perfect, and yeah, that's hands down.
Okay, yeah, I would agree for all the reasons that you've all said. Corey made a really good point about Mickey and Minnie being very repetitive because, depending on what cars you're sitting in, you kind of see different aspects of the attraction as you go. And so it adds that little extra, like, re-rideability. It brings in, Mickey Mouse, the mouse who started it all. And I think it's just, as far as an attraction goes, it's a really good... The entire family can enjoy it, but I also don't have like a hate or disgust. I'm with Lenny. I'm with Denny.
And Squiggy.
Yeah, that's right. I am with Denny though. I am a fool for some lasers, but so Railway has it. Next up, we are going to have Smugglers Run, Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run versus Vacation Fun. Okay, so this is the new Mickey Shorts original theater. I literally just closed my window that had all the full list of the attractions, but Vacation Fun is in the Mickey Shorts Theater, and it is an exclusive to Disney's Hollywood Studios. So, you know what? I'll go first this time, and obviously it's Smugglers Run. Like, the Vacation Shorts is a cute... a cute Mickey Mouse short in the vein of the current animation style, which I do enjoy, and I think it opens people up to might not be familiar with those shorts, so I think it's nice that way. But Smuggler's Run for me is just, you're on the Millennium Falcon. Like, even if you don't like the actual part of the attraction, the experience of being able to, like, walk into the room and, like, sit in the pilot, the area in there, I think it's great. And I love the re-rideability of the attraction as well. And I would love to see that get expanded on in the future. So, for me, it's Smuggler's Run. Corey Martin, what do you think?
Oh, definitely Smuggler's Run. I think the Vacation Fun can be put in that where you want to go sit down, cool off, get out of the sun category, but it has you can't even compare the two. Definitely Smuggler's Run.
And Denny, what do you say?
Yeah, I would agree completely with Smuggler's Run. I liked the Mickey Shorts Theater. Jackie and I got to do that on opening day, and it was so cute. I love how they've redone the theater, but I don't know about the re-rideability of it or the re-enjoyability of the experience. So kind of like Path of the Jedi that was in the theater before, Vacation Fun came to town. I did it once, and it was great, but, and Smuggler's Run, yes, you are on the Millennium Falcon. You get to overlook the Millennium Falcon. The queue is incredible. And then, getting to step into that cockpit is amazing.
What do you say, Craig?
For me, this is actually closer than anyone else. Of course, I love Star Wars, and I love Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, but I can count on one hand the amount of good experiences that I've had on the attraction, just because all it takes is one bad person on with you to completely ruin the entire experience. And that's it, so everything else that you said about like the queue and such, that does save it and ultimately makes this kind of move past the ride itself. The queue saves it this round, but I can't foresee. I didn't look at the bracket close enough what it's going to go up against next round, but Smuggler's Run for me, it's too easy to get ruined that I can't. It's
going against Runaway Railway next time.
Oh, yeah. Just told you I'll vote for that one.
Craig, before you get in the cockpit, are you like the person that's kind of eyes people up? Like, y'all go ahead. Like, you're looking at people saying, I don't think they can fly this thing.
You guys can go past me.
Yeah, go past. How many two? Go.
I do base my experience on that, though. I can kind of figure out, like, going into it, like, looking at the group I'm with, and I can be like, okay, calm down now. Just start breathing because it's going to be bad. But I'm not terrible, because I rode one time with this girl who was in a gunner's seat, and she literally was reaching over to the person in the cockpit in front of her and, like, bumping them on the shoulder and being like, come on, you need to do this, you need to do that. I'm like, whoa.
You're not there yet, huh?
Yeah.
Not yelling at children just yet.
Right.
So.
No.
Well, that's a unanimous for Smugglers then, because Patreon also selected that one as well. Next up, we are going to move over to Muppet Vision 3D and Disney Junior Dance Party. Denny, why don't you start?
I don't think anything, would trump. I can't say that, but I love Muppet Vision 3D. But anything on this kind of level, I loved back in the day with the Disney Junior when Bear in the Big Blue House was there. I mean, how cute is that? How iconic! It's just perfect for kids. It's great that kids have a place where they can work out some wiggles, all that jazz. But goodness, it's Muppet Vision 3D. The more Muppets that we can pass on to this young generation, the better. So
you made me nervous for a second. I thought you were picking the dance party. I was like, okay, she can't be on the show anymore.
No. I know. That's dead to me.
Not to say that if somebody picks the Disney Junior Dance Party, they won't be invited back on the show.
Yeah. No.
Corey, why don't you tell us your pick?
No pressure.
I haven't done the Junior Dance Party since it's changed up. I mean, it served its purpose when the kids were into Disney Junior, but now they're into a little bit old. They're growing, so it served its purpose, and it is what it is. It was cute, little photo opportunities for you and your kids, but definitely Muppet Vision.
And Craig, what do you say?
Part of the way I vote with this is what would I be upset with if I never got the chance to experience it again? And I'll just say that nice and simply for Muppet Vision. That would fall into that category.
Yeah. Do other people ruin it for you? Say like somebody's sitting in front of you and they're trying to reach for those objects, Craig? Would that ruin your experience?
It does.
It is 3D. You are not going to be able to touch it.
So basically, if you see Craig in the park, just stay away. Just stay away. Because
just put your hands down at your side and sit on them.
Yeah,
exactly.
You give me a head nod, but please do not acknowledge me.
No, I think Corey made a really good point about Disney Junior Dance Party. It's very, kids, they outgrow it very quickly. And, I think, like Denny said, too, bring the Muppets on for all generations. And, I still wish they were better represented within the Walt Disney Company. But this is a show I think any age can enjoy it. And I think it's one of those things where you kind of get some more of those deeper jokes the older you get. So it's always Muppets, and Patreon agrees with us. So that is a unanimous Muppets. Moving on. Next up, we are going to have Rockin' Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith versus the Jedi Training Trials of the Temple. And Corey Martin, what do you think?
Well, Rockin' Roller Coaster is my favorite attraction in the park. So it's definitely Rockin' Roller Coaster for me.
Okay. Denny, what do you say?
Yeah, hands down, Rockin' Roller Coaster. Jedi Training is really cool, and I understand that it's super popular for parents to be able to get into the park right away and get their kids signed up, and it's a neat experience to be able to see your family member up there. I'm sure that's fantastic. But this is an amazing launch mechanism. The whole thing with the music. I have a story that's my ringtone. It's been my ringtone for 8 years.
Oh my gosh!
My husband actually grabbed the audio, held his brand new iPhone up to the speaker while we were on the attraction, so that I could have that as my ringtone. So it is a personal favorite. So it's Coaster.
Craig, what do you say? I am not nearly as passionate about Rockin' Roller Coaster, but that being said, it's the reason that I love Aerosmith, believe it or not because of the soundtrack to Armageddon. It was actually inspired by Rockin' Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith, and watching the Pink music video like every single morning when I was growing up, going to getting ready for elementary school in the morning and listening to Aerosmith on MTV and VH1, which our younger audience has no idea what we're talking about.
What are those?
But yeah, Rockin' Roller Coaster it's a great roller coaster. I am so sad I was never young enough to do Jedi Training Academy, because I think if I was ever at that point, I would have been able to do it. I think my answer would probably be different, because just how cool would it be to go up against one of the dark side in that show? But for who I am, where I'm at now, got to say Rock and Roller Coaster.
That's another thing, Craig, is that, we were just talking about the dance party. I think the Jedi training serves its purpose, and then you kind of outgrow it if you've done it once.
Yeah.
If you're a kid, you've done it unless you want a certain position.
I think that's kind of the hard part of that show, is that I think what I do appreciate about it is that as somebody who's just walking by, you could stop and watch it for a few minutes, and the part when the master or the apprentice fights whatever decides to materialize from the temple, makes for like a fun moment, and you can enjoy that moment and watch it for a few minutes. But it's just one of those where anytime I've ever seen it, I thought, man, this must be the coolest thing ever if I was this age and came to this park and got to like actually say, well, this one time at Disney World I fought Darth Vader, or Darth Maul, or the sister, seventh sister. Yeah, and so I'm not to that part yet, guys. I'm not to that part in Clone Wars yet. But it's not in Clone Wars. It's from Rebels, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Kylo Ren. That's a great point. And it's just one of those. I just think I think it's really cool, but it is, again, I think Rock and Roller Coaster, more people can do it, even though there is the height restriction. So I'm gonna pick Rock and Roller Coaster, and that is also what Patreon picks. So that is a full 5 for Rock and Roller Coaster.
So far, I am 100% with Patreon.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, you are. Yeah, technically. Next up, we have Slinky Dog Dash versus Walt Disney Presents. Corey Martin, what do you think?
Slinky Dog. Yeah. It's again the Disney Presents, a nice place to go cool off. It's something to see, but no, you got to do Slinky Dog. That's so much fun.
Denny, what do you say?
Yeah, I agree. I think Slinky is just a great first coaster. It's got some thrills to it, so that still catch adults off guard who maybe aren't huge coaster fans. But I do enjoy the history behind Walt Disney Presents. I think we need it in the parks. It is very valuable for people who don't know. Even if you're just ducking in there for some air conditioning, you actually get educated on Walt Disney and the process behind what he did, why he did what he did, and how he did it. So it kind of pains me to pick Slinky before Walt Disney Presents, but nonetheless, I'm going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's the problem, is that Walt Disney Presents is very necessary. That something like this should exist.
It is.
The only reason I'm going to go with Slinky Dog Dash, I think, ultimately, besides, it's a great attraction. It's so much fun. But ultimately, Walt Disney Presents, I think I am like many others that I'm glad it's somewhere in Walt Disney World. I would rather see it in like Magic Kingdom, somewhere on Main Street, where I feel like it would be better represented. But ultimately, it's very, very important. Just not up against Slinky Dog Dash, and probably the entire experience in general isn't in the right place at Walt Disney World.
No, I completely agree. At Hollywood Studios, it really feels like kind of a storage unit at this point. Like it's got some really amazing dioramas and like stuff in there, and the like the Lincoln animatronic that's in there, and that doesn't move, but it's in there, and I just think it never really got the love it deserved to begin with. But now, as years go by, it gets less and less love because the video changes out, and it becomes that preview center area. But I do, like you said, I think it is essential to have that somewhere, even if there's maybe something in each park, or maybe even at Epcot, since Epcot was our big thing that he was trying to plan in the beginning, somewhere where it does take you through that history of how it came to be.
You know what I would like? Oh, go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say, the thing that it dawned on me after I said it all, I don't even agree with Magic Kingdom. If you're talking about this place as a preview center and you want to show off the history of Walt Disney, plus everything that you can see in the parks, what you can look forward to, show off the maquettes of the parks, tell the story of Walt Disney, or advertise the films, why is this not a permanent exhibit at Disney Springs? A permanent free exhibit that anyone can go to and be like, okay, well, we weren't going to do Disney on this trip. We just wanted to come over and experience this area. But yeah, you sold us. We've got to go back to the parks. We've got to do more Disney. Like,
That's a good point, because you could also, the video, the tail of the video could always be updating to include, like, Rise of the Resistance, or like down the line maybe Guardians or something.
Well, I think of the space that that's in Launch Bay. I mean, I love props of movie. I just love like looking at stuff through a glass, and if they could always like change it up and bring in new stuff from the archives and stuff, and make it an ongoing thing. Where it's always new and people are always wanting to go see that new stuff. I mean, you could put it behind 10-inch glass, but showcase some of maybe the awards, some of the things we get to see on the backstage magic. ABD.
So just to be clear, did everybody vote for Slinky Dog?
Yes.
Okay, because I feel like we've taken a good amount of time to justify that we're not trying to hate the other attraction.
Right.
But I wasn't 100% sure. So, okay, and Patreon also voted for Slinky Dog. So Slinky Dog's going to move on. And next we are going to be doing Star Tours The Adventure Continues versus Beauty and the Beast. Craig, why don't you go first?
I hate Beauty and the Beast live on stage. It is my least favorite thing in this park. I would rather be tied up and thrown against my will into the Disney Junior area. It is the worst stage show, in my opinion. And so it doesn't matter that I love Star Tours. Beauty and the Beast is awful.
Okay, and Denny, what do you feel? How do you feel?
I recently had the opportunity to go and see Beauty and the Beast again, and it had been quite some time. And I'm good again for a little while. I don't feel I don't have as strong feelings as Craig does about it. But yeah, it's really not my favorite. When Star Tours, I love it. I remember the first time that I went on it after C-3PO taking the driver's seat. And I just sat there in awe of the fact that C-3PO was right there. Like, unreal. So I love how they introduce characters and scenes from how they've done that with the recent 3. So for me, it's Star Tours.
What do you say, Corey?
To be honest, I'm not a fan of both. I don't like simulated stuff. I think Star Tours gets me a little. It gets me a little wacky afterwards. So I try to avoid that. But Beauty and the Beast, look. I still cry every time Beast dies, so it's going to be Star Tours for me. The that Beauty and the Beast theater is hot as hell in there.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at those fans, and the whole show, I'm just thinking of how to make them go faster. I'm not even watching the show. I'm just looking up, going, if I was sitting in that spot, I'd be cooler. Or I'm gonna get here earlier next time to sit. But Star Tours for me, even though I don't really ride it, but it's better than the.
Well, the thing with the Beauty and the Beast show for me is that it's the stuff always looks dirty. It looks old. Everything kind of looks washed out, and it doesn't make as much sense as the movie, because why are they're all these giant things now instead of being their accurate size? But then also, there's that weird lady that comes out of the ice cream. And I always think to myself, like, cool, your dress is great, but you're like a human being inside of that ice cream. And now I feel really weird because someone's going to eat you. So I don't know. I also do get nauseous on Star Tours, though. But again, we talk about rewritability, my love of Star Wars and everything like that. I think Star Tours, I love the randomization of it all, and I am finding that I still am going on and being like, oh, I don't think I've actually done this one scene before. So that's what I love about it. So Star Tours it is. Patreon said Star Tours as well, so that moves on. Next up, we are going to have Star Wars Rise of the Resistance and Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular. Corey Martin.
Rise.
Okay. This is the hard part. I don't think this is a question, really, right?
No, it's a default. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, Denny, do you have anything to say?
No, it's Rise.
What about you, Craig?
I mean, it's tough because one of these attractions was featured in an episode of Full House and the others wasn't. So, for that reason, I'd have to say Rise of the Resistance.
Okay.
Just because of your hatred of Full House?
Oh, no. Actually, that had nothing to do with my answer.
Okay. Obviously it's Rise of Resistance. Indiana Jones for me, the stunt spectacular stuntacular is. It's one of those things where it's just dated. It's like it's from the era gone by where the parks thing is not showing you how movies are made anymore, and it's kind of so it feels like every scene in between each scene is very long, and it becomes kind of. It's not as good. It feels kind of lazy a little bit, too. I feel bad saying that because these are great performers and great stunt actors and everything like that. And it feels kind of like, it's been like 30 years? I think it's time we moved on. But
yeah, it's like they keep it around solely for two reasons. One, because it can become a Fast Pass Plus option, and you always need more Fast Pass Plus options. And two, they pretty much, anytime there's a Walt Disney travel and media event that like combines everyone together, they need to throw a big party with dinner, and it's always like, okay, we're going to close Indiana Jones early and we're going to throw them all out on this platform and throw them a big party there. I think that's the only other reason why it's actually still in that spot.
Hey, they throw a good party down there, though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, it's hard to get back up those stairs sometimes.
Yeah, right. Well, our last ones for round one are Toy Story Mania versus the Frozen Singalong. For the first time in forever, a Frozen Singalong, I think, is the official name. Like I said, I closed my window and I'm too lazy to reopen it. Craig, why don't you tell us?
We all know how aggressive I get at Toy Story Mania, but I really do love the Frozen Sing-Along. I think it is a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of it, but Toy Story Mania, it's the attraction to me that turned around the park the very first time when Hollywood Studios was starting to slag. Then Toy Story Mania came in, and it brought that park a fresh breath of air that still sticks around today. And adding the extra track and making it even more accessible was a great move. So Toy Story Mania.
Okay, Denny, what do you say? Yeah,
I got to agree with Craig. There is a reason why Mania was one of the rope drop attractions back in the day, before, the Toy Story Land refurb and everything with Galaxy's Edge. You wanted to get your family on that attraction. That was something that everybody could enjoy. It was something unlike anything else that we had, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great little competition in your vehicle for who's going to get best. Frozen, the sing-along is neat. I love the narrators. They do an incredible job. But yeah, no, for me, it's definitely Mania.
Yeah. What do you think, Corey?
I've heard enough Frozen songs in my house to last me an eternity. So, if I can avoid hearing it by choice, I'm going to avoid it. Definitely Toy Story. It's just fun to compete.
Yeah.
And also when you have somebody next to you in the car and they're trying to work up their score to get it really high to beat their personal best, and you sabotage their, efforts. That's what I did to my sister one time. She was so mad. She's like, "Watch, I'm gonna get this many." I'm like, "No, you're not."
Craig, there's a video of you and Corey on Toy Story Mania, correct? Still on the website, or is that private?
Oh no! Why would that ever go away?
Okay.
Because I'm making that because as I'm talking about it, I'm doing the motion with my fingers, like the pull motion.
It's more of an up and down motion, not a pull motion.
Well, it depends on how you do it.
Yeah, it's more of an up and down.
Let's just keep it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so I really enjoy Toy Story. Again, rewritability, like what Corey said, what Denny said, all this stuff. It's one of those attractions where you can keep riding it. You can unlock the secrets in the attraction, which is a lot of fun. Getting the volcano to erupt with the balloons, or the chicken hatch to open, or whatever. And and I always still, every time I go through, I try to remember, like, okay, somebody who worked here once told me if I do this, it'll open this. And so I think that's a lot of fun. And honestly, I think it's a lot better than a sing-along that you could just do at your house at this point. I mean, not to say that the Frozen sing-along isn't fun, but again, it was shoehorned into American Idol, and so it just feels like it wasn't made to be there. So it just
you're right. You can do it at your house, and we have done it at our house. Ferris, Princess Ferris. I'm telling you, it's a constant thing.
I would argue that you probably are the house that has done it the most in the United States of America.
I can guarantee you, and we have video to prove it.
Well, that is it for round one of this bracket. So what we have remaining now are Tower of Terror, Lightning McQueen's Racing Academy, Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run, Muppet Vision 3D, Rock and Roll Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith, Slinky Dog Dash, Star Tours The Adventure Continues, Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, and Toy Story Mania. So make sure to tune in next week to see what's gonna make it through and when. And if you are on Patreon, make sure that you're checking out those polls to make sure you're getting your vote in, because that could sway us one way or another. And again, if you like our content, if you like what you've seen here, you can show your support for us now by booking a vacation with Dreams Unlimited Travel by visiting them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. It literally will cost you nothing. So do that. And thank you everyone out there for listening and watching. Thank you guys for having this discussion with me, and we'll see you next time with another episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.